Hey guys, what's up? So we're going to talk about in this episode the vertical gunting from Panantukan and some different things we can do with it. With me to help out is my lovely wife Lori, and she's going to kind of be our assistant today, so we can show you on her, and we'll show you on the dummy, we'll show you on the home training equipment, and so show you that it's something that's really easy that you can still practice at home even if you don't have a partner, okay? But the idea here is like we want some partner work just so you guys can see what it is you're trying to do for those of you working at home all by yourself, right? So first we're going to look at the vertical gunting, which comes out of Panantukan, which is the striking portion of Kali. So she sends a jab to me, okay, like right, we're going to put this jab right here. So we're also on some limited space here, by the way, so we're not looking at the footwork so much at the moment, okay? But if she puts this jab here, I'm going to start by parrying this jab on the outside, and then my other hand is just basically come up and like slick my hair back. It's going to come right up here. Now, I'm not trying to teach the vertical gunting right now. Different people have different opinions on where your hand should stop, what part of the arm you should touch on, all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. Personally, I'm a big fan of right in the center of the arm. I like to bring the fingers right to my forehead like a salute, so if she punches, it's kind of like this. But there are different people that do it different ways. The motion is what's important here, not the extra details, okay? So she sends the jab, we're just going to parry and just bring this up, and that's going to be, again, and that's going to be our vertical gunting. Good retract. Okay, fire again. Nice. And again, and again. So let's take a look at that on the dummies. Okay, so let's take a look at our vertical gunting on the dummy. So with this now, when I apply this with the dummy, I want my hand to go on the end of the dummy. The reason being is I need to move forward anyways, and if I'm moving forward, I don't want to bump into the body, so I want my hand on the end, right? So I'm just looking at using this as a reference point for the motion, right? So that as I touch, my hand comes up. Now, we'll do footwork in a separate video. It doesn't matter. You can have static footwork if you want to stay here and work this, you know, or you can be moving your feet. We're not going to talk about so much that right now. What is important to understand is when you're doing your vertical gunting is it's always done best with one hand up and one hand down, right? If I have both hands up at the same time, then that means one has to travel down and then back up, and that's actually where we get more of an over the bridge motion. But for this, kind of one up, one down sort of motion, right? One up, one down sort of motion. So parry and just bring that up, parry and bring the other hand up, and that's going to be our vertical gunting on our dummy. Now let's see if we can do that on our home training equipment. Okay, so now looking at that vertical gunting, just using our home equipment. So same idea, just like with the dummy arm. I'm just going to touch the side of this and just raise this up, right? Touch the side and raise this up. And again, we want to remember, when we're talking about this is usually coming from one hand lower than the other to start with. All right, so we want to parry and raise, okay? Parry and raise, 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 right? Just shearing through the motion. And this is just a nice, easy way to get your body going. It makes for a nice reference point. And we can put whatever footwork we in like we talked about. But for right now, it's just a matter of understanding that this is just a good reference point to help us understand where we would want to move. So once you have that motion, I like to add some stuff to it. So there's a very common entry we like to call the double elbow entry in our Panantukan curriculum over at KSK Martial Arts, and we're going to show you what that is right now, and then how you can do it on the dummy and on your home equipment. Okay. So with with the double elbow entry, it's going to start with this vertical gunting. Now from here, I'm going to turn and I'm going to raise my elbow up for the vertical elbow shot. You'll notice how this hand here comes down and grabs that arm. Okay. Now from there, this hand is going to drop and it's going to send the next elbow. That's why it's a double elbow entry, because we fire two elbows. Go ahead and fire again. So we go vertical gunting, first elbow, second elbow. So it's a double elbow entry. So one of the reasons why we kind of pitter-pat with the hands a little bit is to understand that hand is going to pull back, right? So when you look at this motion, she throws the punch and she leaves it straight out. One of the things you'll see is that we come from here and this hand grabs hold like that, but nobody leaves their arm straight out. They usually pull back like that, right? So if she punches and pulls back, that still gets a hold, pulls her in, and still gives us the shot. Okay? So that's going to be one of the reasons why we put all those extra hand motions in. It's not that we expect somebody to leave their arm out there like that. So it's important to understand the context. So for our double elbow entry, we're going to vertical gunting. Okay? I'm going to pull this out and get this shot. If she tries to bend that arm, I'm going to catch it with that hand there and put this shot in. Right? So that becomes 1, 2, 3. So when we train this in the beginning, she leaves her hand out for us so that our hands can learn to move around. So let's take a look and see how we would do this on the dummies and on the home training equipment as well. Okay, now that you've seen how we can take the vertical gunting and expand it into a double elbow entry, how do we do that on the wooden dummy? So we're still going to use our vertical gunting right here. And now when I turn my body, watch this hand, how it's going to go to the end of the arm so I can bring that vertical shot up. Now this hand is going to replace and go to the end, and I'm just going to put my elbow right on the tip of that. Okay, I'm not going to try to like come up and over. I'm just going to go to the tip of this for right now. You can go over top if you want. It depends on the height of your arm. But for me, once I drop, like this is sometimes difficult to get across. So for me, I just find moving this, putting my elbow to the end of it, helps with my mechanics and my motion, because that's all I'm really doing this for, is to get the motion in my body. Because this isn't a partner, this isn't a human being. And so when I work with a human being, that's when I can work with like which direction their body moves and if their arm moves or not. But since this isn't a partner, I mean, this isn't a human being, flesh and blood, and it's a stagnant object, I got to do what I can with it. So using the motion, or using it to get my motion, is pretty much my focus when I use these. So I go vertical, and I bring this up here, and I just drop this and just use that right here. So you'll notice, right, I pivot, and I pivot. Right? Watch my shoulder plane. It pivots, it pivots, it pivots. You don't want to do this, where it's all arms and nothing else. Move, move, move. Right? And you do this on the other side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. So let's see how we can do that on our home equipment. All right, now that you understand that, you've seen it with a person, you've seen it with a dummy. Now let's talk about that double elbow and how we do it here. And essentially, the dummy, we want as much of a direct translation as we can, right? So now it's the same idea. So now I'm going to vertical gunting. My hand is going to come to the end of the table leg, just like we did the end of the dummy arm, right? Not table leg, chair leg, right? So we go vertical elbow, and this comes to the side, and we just tap the end of that, just like we did with the dummy arm. So vertical, so vertical elbow, to horizontal elbow. Vertical gunting, vertical elbow, horizontal elbow. Vertical gunting, vertical elbow, horizontal elbow. Same on the other side. Vertical gunting to vertical elbow to horizontal elbow. Vertical gunting to vertical elbow to horizontal elbow. And making sure that we're moving that shoulder plane like we talked about. And that's just a fun way to practice your double elbow entry at home.